Hey guys, so now that we finished the mouth singing pose, we need to take note of the fact we need to look at how long it is. Okay, so I noticed that it's 477 frames. So that means now that I'm going to start my dance, I'm going to back out from mouth singing into dance. And in the dance layer, I need to bring all my layers up to 475 to start out with. Or 477, I said. Okay, so click, mouse down, shift, click at 477. I'm going to control click and insert a frame. Now I just extended all my layers. Alright, now I'm going to go back and let's see here. You know what? I only have one arm, so what I'm going to do is copy another arm. This is going to be called left arm. My left. I guess it's technically his right arm, but it's my left. However you want to do it. So now that I've got it copied, the left arm, I'm going to Command C or copy, and then I'm going to create a new layer because I want another arm. I'll call this right arm and paste. Paste in center. Oh, how'd that happen? Try that again. Left arm. Let's copy. Right arm. And paste in center. There we go. Now I'm going to spin this because you can see that the thumb is like turned around the other way. No, I guess it would be the same way. All right, so great. I'm going to use the free transform tool. I need to select the entire thing whenever I do that. So go back, select my left arm. There it is. I'm going to spin that around. You have to be careful when you move these that you're using the move tool. I'm going to put it right there, but of course that's not in the right spot. So what I have to do is lower the left arm or the right arm below the body. Okay, so it needs to be below the body. All right, so then I'm basically hiding it. I can still come out. Okay, so there I've got a left arm now. So what I'm going to do is add bones to my arms and my legs so that I can start dancing. All right, so start with the first arm. I'll go to the left arm, and I want to use my bone tool. And I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, and with the bone tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an armature to make sure it's selected. You know what? That's a little short on the upper arm, so I'm going to go back. What I want to make is an elbow here, so he can move his arms, so he can bend his elbows. All right. All right. So now that I've got an armature and I've lost my left arm layer, right? And actually, I can call that left arm. Okay, instead of armature. That way I can keep them separate. I can keep track. All right, so next I want to go to the next, which is my left leg. Okay, let me zoom back. Let's see my left leg. And with the bone tool, I'm going to start in the thigh to the knee to the foot. All right. and call that left leg. Then I'm going to go to the right arm, and what I can do is just hide my body. All right, so I can see the arm. And with the bone tool, once again, start at the top, to the middle, down to the bottom. Okay. Oh, another thing I just realized, we'll come back to it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my, that's called right arm. And then I'm going to go to my right leg. And once again, the bone tool. To the knee, and then the foot. Now we got bendable joints. Okay, and that's called right leg. Okay, and as a matter of fact, what we can do is delete these frame layers we no longer need. See, the right leg is now hollow, it's empty, so I can just delete it. Delete my empty layers, bring the body back so I can see it. Okay, oh, then the arm. There we go. All right, so now we got our armatures, and here's what we're going to do. I have to bring in the music in order to be able to see how I want to make him dance. So I'm going to bring in a new layer. I'll put it at the top. Here's music. And we're going to do exactly the same thing we did before. Go to the first keyframe of music, enter our song, and yeah, so it's exactly the same. So it should everything should be in place. All right, now we're going to make him dance. So when I play the music, there, because I made a mistake I don't want you to make. Make sure that on your music that you change this to stream. Because if you don't, you're going to have to listen to the entire song every time you play it, and you don't want that. So as I play the music, okay, so it's got a it's got about a four count beat. All right, so I'm going to be doing keyframes about every 2 frames, and I'm going to do about 8 beats, and then I'm going to start copying them. So it's really simple. I just want to move to the I'm going to move the indicator here about 2 frames from the very beginning. It's going to start in the position he's in right now, and all I'm going to do is in that here in position, keyframe 3, then all I need to do is move a little bit, move my arm up, let's see, his elbow would be kind of back, I think. So there we go. And then we've done all 4 of our keyframes there. Automatically the keyframe will take whenever you move a pose. So you get an automatic pose. Alright, so now I'm going to jump forward 2 frames. About 2, yeah, there we go. And do another pose. And I'll go, so I'll move it a little back, slightly different. Not too radical unless you want him really jumping around. Try to make it as natural as possible for a cartoon. Whoops. And we're getting a little warpage. You're going to get a little warpage here. You can see it with these shapes. Okay. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can see better. No. And then let's go a couple more frames. And I'm going to extend this thing out. I'm going to keep going with that effect. Then maybe I'll bring this one in a little bit. Okay. And then the leg. I'm going to bring this out a little more for a kind of a twist thing. Okay. Then we scrub the timeline. We can kind of see what he's doing. He's kind of rocking. He's kind of jiving here. All right. Now I'm going to go forward. Now each one of these poses is permanently remembered. So if I change these poses later, they'll change. What I mean is if I were to copy these, they would just continue. But if I were to change one of them, all of them would change, if that makes sense. And it will later. So I'm going to go forward about another 2 frames and try to do some different poses so I have a sequence that's going to have more variety to it. Bring that down. Hide the body here so I can see my left arm or right arm. I think I called it, yeah. Okay. And then back with that thing. I'm going to leave this leg alone this time. And now I'll move it just slightly so it registers a keyframe. Yeah. All right. Then 2 more. Like I said, I don't want to do a lot of variation because when you dance, you don't necessarily flail around every 2 beats. But he can get funky. He's a cartoon. So we got some leeway. All right. And I said I was going to do 8. So I'll do 1 more pose. I don't want to do that backwards elbow thing. That's unnatural. All right. Down here. Let's see. We'll go up again. There we go. Yeah. All right. Now let me see. Okay. He's pretty loose, that guy. All right. So now what I'm going to try is, excuse me there, I'm going to copy each of these frames in each armature. I'm going to copy my frames. So here, I'm going to control click, copy frames, move to my next second keyframe, control, and paste frames. This takes a minute. Okay, it's remembering all those frames. You don't want to keep a lot of programs open while you're doing this because Flash can get a little crashy when it's remembering a lot of frames like this. Copy, paste. Whoops. Let's go back. Getting away from me here. Scroll back down to the bottom here. Copy. I'm hitting control. Click. As you know. Go here to my next point. Notice it lines up. And paste my frames. Then one more time, control click, copy frames, go to my next point, paste the frames. So notice all my keyframes are lined up in the same at the same spot because I've been keeping it consistent. All right, now let's see how that looks. So I kind of play the music. Uh-oh. You know what? He starts moving before the music does. Where does the music start? Okay. So what I can do is, in each of these cases, go back and clear the poses, clear those poses before the music starts. I'll just do that in each case. Okay, so that means I'm gonna possibly have to be doing some revising here. And let's see, where's my other one? There it is. Okay. Let me see how that looks. All right. Okay, it looks like he's sort of getting ready to dance. All right, I can accept that. So now let's see what happens if we just try copying our keyframes. And pasting. And I'm going to keep using this process. Once I get it looking the way I want it to, I'm going to extend all these keyframes. So I've got about 8 keyframes I'm copying here. And then I'm going to, let's see how that looks. Just looking at that left arm. Okay. So we're going to go copy, paste. And this gets a little repetitious. I'm just showing you just in case there's any confusion. What I'm going to do is copy what I've got each time. So now I'm copying 8 frames, then I'm going to copy 16 frames, then I'll copy 32 frames, 64, and so on. Now, we're going to hope that that doesn't take us out of sequence or out of beat. But this is 4/4 time. This is a 4/4 beat. So it ought to be pretty simple. Okay. Frames that you do it, you know, in the basic same position. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue copying. I'm going to copy all these frames that I have now and paste them into the next spot. And I'm going to keep doing this until I finish. And then I'll be back here to show you how to sort of adjust your frames. So I'll be back in a minute to show you how to finish up. Okay, so I'm on the last run of cutting and pasting. I'm doing my last layer here. So far it's working out. Control click, copy frames, And you end up using the slider here because you have to kind of get down the line faster. It works better. And then, let's see, paste frames. I'm pasting quite a few at this point, and this will take me past the end of the song, or the end of the piece that I'm doing. So you can see we've got all our frames here, and if I slide down here to the end, I still have one more round to do here. Okay. One more time. Copy and paste. Once again, it's going to take you a little while. Once when you're copying all those frames, it gets a little longer each time for it to think. All right, so you can see that took us past the end of our song there. Here's the end. So rather than, I want to make sure I don't go here. The tween has gotten really long, right? And I don't want to shave the tween like I normally do, where you just pull it back, because what that'll do is it'll affect all the timing. What I want to do instead is I want to highlight these frames. Highlight to the end of that tween. Okay. And then I want to control click and remove frames. Okay. So what that does is it takes it back to the very end. All right. So it just ends with the pose. Once I'm going to do that on each of these. So let's see, I can get all three of them here. Carry that to the end, and just delete those tweens. Otherwise, they'll continue. We don't want that. Control click, remove frames. All right, now everything should end cleanly right there at the end of the song. That's the way that should look. All right, here goes. Here we go. See how this looks. Okay. All right, so it looks all right. But you can see it's going to get a little repetitious. Now here's where the creativity comes in. Each one of these poses, if I move one of these poses, it will affect all the other poses because these were copies of poses. So it remembers the pose. So if I go back to the beginning, for instance, and on the left leg here, I were to put this up like that, then let's see how that affects everything. See, that left leg goes up every time. So if you've been copying poses, there's not a lot you can do. When you change one, you're going to change all of that particular pose. So if I click right here, on any keyframe, it shows me what limb I'm working on, and like I say, if I change that pose, it'll change all of them. Okay, so we've got that. We've got the dance pose. Now we're going to go back to jump. We're going to back out to jump. And here's where we get to cause a little jump. But I'm going to first need to go out to 477 frames and extend my timeline. And I've got to do this with every single one of my symbols, right, all the way back to scene 1. So I'll insert a frame, and then what we can do is do some sporadic jumps here. So every once in a while, put a control, I can enter, I can insert a keyframe, and at that keyframe, I can use my arrows, use my arrow key to kind of just jump him up a little bit. But then I have to jump him back down too, right? So maybe a couple frames later, insert a keyframe, and bring him back down. Let's see how that looks. Well, in order to see how it looks, we have to go out to back to scene 1, okay, and also extend this for 477 frames, or whatever your song, whatever your piece is, however long it is, obviously. Insert a frame there. Okay. And the main thing that we're doing here on in scene 1 is we're basically just tweening our guy. He's a symbol, so we can put a motion tween on him. And that was the whole point for having this. So if I control click and create a motion tween, I've turned that into a tween, 475 frame, 77 frame tween, and I can just add poses. So here here he is jumping at 20. There's the jump. Okay. All right. Okay. So back in the jump pose, what I've done is I've gone through and put in several jumps as we scrub through the timeline. Got him jumping. Got all his jumps in. He jumps up, jumps down, and I back out into scene. And what I've done in scene, first off, I've entered my music. I have to put in my music exactly the way you did before. Put in a music layer, and in the first frame, bring in our song. Make sure that it's streaming sound. All right, and then we should have exactly. Then we have our song, and then the final thing in the motion tween layer. We put in keyframes. So what I did is I just went forward and moved him forward, moved him backward, moved him forward. I just have him going back and forth across what's going to be the stage, and I imagine him point, and behind. Here's my background. So I brought in my background. And then we have the final thing. So basically the last thing we do is we just add keyframes. Just go into along the tween layer here and just bring it back and forth. So the final animation looks something like this. Actually, I'll do Command Return and just play the SWF. Okay, and that's that. So, hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. Good work on your projects, and we'll see you next time.